One of the most puzzling controversies I've ever read about involving a K-pop group would be that of Mamamoo. Several years ago, they covered Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars, and they were criticized heavily for painting themselves black because they were trying to come as close to the color of Bruno Mars as possible, and Bruno Mars is dark skin. Bruno Mars actually is not. So they were criticized for culture appropriation. You shouldn't be doing blackface, of course. But Bruno Mars is actually not African American. He is Filipino, and they're Filipino Puerto Rican. Yeah, Puerto Rican. And the reason he has the dark skin is that Filipinos actually have a naturally dark skin. One of the many indigenous groups that we have is actually called the Aitas, and I created a video featuring them, talking about them. They have a very dark skin and they came from Africa. Now, many are contesting that, saying they didn't come from Africa, blah, blah, blah. But I welcome all criticisms. If you want to give me a piece of your mind, if you want to share your own research and share your own knowledge, go ahead. I welcome it. Please do so in a very respectful way. So, but it doesn't change the fact that they do have a dark skin, a very, very dark skin, and that's the reason why many Filipinos have a dark skin. So as I've said, they're one of the many indigenous groups. They're not the only one, but they're one of the many, and they usually are regarded as the very first Filipinos. So but the greater, I think, realization that I have based on that incident is that we have a lot of things in common. Different cultures, different countries, we have a lot of things in common. And of course, as many Asian artists born and raised in Asia come to North America, of course, we're scrutinized and we're expected to know about the history, observe, respect the culture, sensibilities, history, language, tradition, and understand basically the culture and sensibilities of North America. And I think that's fair, you know. When you're in Rome, do what the Romans do. But on the other side of it is, of course, we're not perfect. A lot of artists still make mistakes. I'm sure that they're trying to improve on that. But one of the many things that as I've said, I realized is that we have a lot of things in common. And so I also don't want to hold back from observing my own culture, from wearing the things that I like based on my own culture, just because I'm scared that I'm going to offend somebody. So I think that this is the reason I'm trying to do this, because I want people to realize that we do have a lot of things in common. And so when you see an Asian artist, or just an Asian person in general, wearing something that may be similar to yours, it's not, hold yourself back from just for a little bit. Maybe it's just because we have something similar. It's not automatically cultural appropriation, or maybe because we do find your fashion very beautiful and we're trying to imitate you, not because we're appropriating you, but because we like it, and if you don't like it, just tell us. It's not because we're trying to offend you or disrespect you, but more so because, as I've said, we do have a lot of things in common. And that's why I'm doing this series, just so we can all be aware that we have those things in common. So for today, I actually want to talk about the Yakkans. We do have a headscarf. It's very similar to many headscarves of many other cultures and many other countries and races. So this headscarf that I'm talking about came from the Yakkans. They reside in the southern part of the Philippines. So they are traditionally they wear very, very colorful stuff, and the women would usually wear tight-fitting tight-fitting blouses, and then the men are more loose. But both genders, I'm saying both, I'm just saying two, men and women, because that's in the old times when they were recognizing only two genders. So both the men and women would wear both. They would wear pants. It's just that the women would wear something over it, so they would layer it with a wrap around skirt. They are known for weaving skills. So they would weave the fabric on their own. So they would do it directly. They would actually use plants in the old times, and then they would dye it, and it would result into very colorful and complicated patterns. Nowadays they wear Western clothing, but they still wear their traditional outfit and their traditional accessories in formal events, or if they have a ceremony of some sort. Now so I want to focus specifically on the headgear, because as I've said, this is the one thing I see is very, very similar to the headgears worn by other different cultures. So the traditional, they have three different designs that they use for their clothing and for their headgear. The seputangan is the most intricate design worn by women around their waist as a headcloth or as a headcloth. So it's either the waist or as a headcloth. The palipatang is patterned after the color of the rainbow, while the bungasama after the python, like the python, the snake. Almost every Yakkan fabric can be described as unique since the finished material are not exactly identical. They actually do not have an exact pattern. As I've said, they would use different plants and then they would dye it. So usually it would result to a complicated but unplanned pattern, but beautiful nonetheless. The headscarf, they call it the Yakkan piece. It's usually geometric in pattern, usually, but not always. And they wear it, it doesn't have a specific way of folding, or it doesn't have a specific way of it doesn't have a specific design or a specific pattern. When they wear it, they can wear it different ways, and they have mastered the art of folding their scarf and putting it in their head. Now, for their daily stuff though, when they do their daily life and they need to do if they want to wear their headscarf, it's just simple. They wrap it around their head and then they tie it in the back. So it differs in length. Some are shorter, some are longer. But it's beautiful. We wear it a lot. We wear it in different parts in the Philippines. There's a lot of stores also that sell that fabric, and you can definitely wear it. So that's the headscarf of the Yakkans.